Hey guys, so today we are going to talk a little bit more about the simplicity pattern I just finished up, Simplicity 8982. I'm going to just go over just some quick things about the pattern and some things that I learned as I got through this process. If you're interested in knowing more about my journey in making the simplicity pattern, feel free to check out the other videos. I did a 4-part series, I believe it is, on my channel starting in January, and I took you all through that process up to the final reveal. So go ahead and do some binge watching on that series. But I'm going to go through this pattern, talk about really quickly just some of the lessons learned as I start this process from beginning to end. And then we're going to go into a little bit of chat about my upcoming sewing plans, many of which I have not decided. All right, so let's talk about the simplicity pattern and the Simplicity 8982. It is a very popular sewing pattern. I think it came out maybe 3 years ago, if not a little before then, but I went ahead and made this my first garment make of the year, and it is part of my make 5 for the year. And I sewed views C and views D, view C and view D. I started with view E, but view E was very short once I considered the hem and adding the casing. The length was a little bit shorter to my liking, so I went ahead and just elongated and did the view here. So a little bit about this pattern. I have some notes here. I did use a velvet fabric that I purchased from Joann Fabrics when they were going out of business, one of my local Joann stores. I think I bought about 4 yards of this, maybe 3.5 or 4 yards. I forget how much I purchased, but I did end up using all of it as I made this pattern. And it only required, of course, your thread and hem tape, and I also use elastic around the waistband here. The hem tape I actually use for the top because I felt that the hem kept curling a lot, so I thought it was necessary for me to go ahead and use some Wonder tape actually, and that was by recommendation of So Lovely with Grace. So thanks, Grace, for that recommendation. But yeah, for the most part, for this pattern, all you need are your threads and your threads and your hem tape, should you want to use hem tape to make sure your hems are nice and neat and elastic. So the view I did required 8 pattern pieces, and that was a front, a back, a neckband, a sleeve, the sleeve band, and then the skirt required the front, back, and the casing. So if you're going to do an entire entire set, you will need 8 pieces. If not, you'll just need 2 to 5 depending on which version you do here. And for the most part, it was pretty simple to put together. There was a 5/8 inch seam allowance that is pretty standard for most patterns. I will tell you that I did a size 22 on the skirt, and it was way too big, so I definitely recommend that you take a lot of time in thinking about your stretch on your fabric as well as your finished garment measurements. I probably could have gone down to like a 16 or 18, but the 22 was definitely big, and I had to size it down quite a bit or do a lot of alterations to bring it down to the size that fit me the best. Some skills that I learned as I was working through this, I learned how to do a slip stitch, which believe it or not, though it sounds simple, I never did one, but I did have to do a slip stitch when I had to encase the elastic on the skirt fully. Of course, there were some darts. I've done darts before, but I did have to do some darts on this as well. And for the first time, I did some ease stitching with the top. So on the sleeve here, there is some ease stitching that requires you to do a little bit of gathering so that your sleeve will fit into your armhole or your arm's eye, nice and neat. And mine turned out really, really great for it to be the first time I've done an E-stitch. So I was really happy about that. So what did I learn as I went through this pattern make? I learned quite a few things. I did definitely learn that I need to work more on some sleeve bands. I know that the sleeve band construction is not hard, actually putting it on, but for some reason, I don't know if maybe I did not cut everything the way I was supposed to cut it on the fabric based off the pattern layout. I did have some issues with the sleeve. It was way too big and the stretch was not going the way it was supposed to go. The stretch was supposed to go around my wrist and it was actually going up and down my wrist, and I did lose quite a bit of seam allowance as I was working through the sleeve. So the one thing I did learn is I need to work more on some sleeve bands and really make sure that I pay close enough attention to the proper layout on the sleeve bands. I also learned a lot more about fit and making sure that I factor in the stretch on the garment, because like I said before, the size 22 on the skirt was too big. However, the size 22 did work for me in the shirt size. So the shirt size, the front and the back, I cut a 22. The arms, I did cut a 22 as well. The sleeve band, again, that was too big, even with me cutting the size 14. I probably should have done a smaller size and then graded to the 16. That way it would have given me better stretch and it just would have fit better. And again, that whole layout piece was something that I need to learn a lot more. And then again, with the hems, just trying to practice more with the hems, making sure that I have Wonder Tape available or Stitch Witchery available. I did have Stitch Witchery available, but I figured since my Wonder Tape was already open and I used it before for something, I forgot what, but I used it before, I went ahead and used that for this skirt and for this hem. Actually, for the shirt hem. I didn't use it for the skirt, I used it for the hem. I also learned that I need to pay better attention to the length. So when I cut this out, when I cut the pattern out, I realized the length of the shirt did look a little bit short when I cut it, and I thought maybe it would not have made much of a difference if I did a smaller hem on the bottom, but I really should have lengthened the shirt a little bit because it would have given me more length and I would have been able to do a larger seam allowance, a larger hem on the bottom of my shirt. Because as you can see, her hem on here is much bigger. I'm not sure if you can see that really well, but you can look at her shirt here. Her hem is really big. I think that's probably about a 1-inch hem. I'm not really sure, but it's way bigger than the hem I have on my shirt. And if I had done a bigger hem on my shirt, then the shirt would have been a lot shorter than what I really wanted it to be. So overall, what I learned is just paying a lot more attention to the finished garment measurements, factoring in my fabric, and also just overall sizing alone, just paying attention to that, and then really trying to buckle down and do more in the space of my sleeve bands. Overall, I would say this is a great pattern for someone who wants to work on a skirt set, a knit skirt set. It's a really great pattern to start with. There wasn't a lot of complications with it. Just, take your time, think about your fabric choice as well as your finished garment measurements, and you should be just fine. So I actually think I might want to do this again, but I'm not sure if I'll do it this season. I'm looking at the fabric choices on here and they call for interlock, jersey, rib knit, ITY knits, bamboo knit, modal knit, velour, and sweater knits. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to do this again this season, but I was happy to be able to at least start it or go ahead and commit to getting it done and actually getting it done. So that would be my take on Simplicity 8982. just before I go into some sewing plans, I want to say this. When I think back on working through this pattern, although I gave you guys a 4-part series on this pattern, I am really happy that I got through this pattern in about 3 weeks. I am a very slow sewer, and I have a lot of other things going on with like just life outside of sewing. So a huge accomplishment for me is really being able to get through an entire pattern, 2 pieces, in about 3 weeks. However, I say that because if you are just starting your sewing journey and you have a lot more time to commit to making a pattern like this, you can definitely knock this out in like a week's time, 2 pieces, I'm very sure. So I just want to put that out there for those of you who are just starting on your sewing journey this year and are really thinking about jumping right into patterns. If you just commit the time and actually have the time to get through it within a week, you can definitely knock this out the park. All right. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and talk about some upcoming sewing plans. And I am hoping that you all will help me think through where to go next, because I have my journal here that I just started to use last night as I sat before bed and thought about where do I go from here now that I've finished my simplicity pattern. So the first thing I have on my list is I'm thinking about doing 1 to 2 really easy sew-alongs on my channel this month, or maybe, sometime going into March. I'm not really sure. I am not sure that I have the proper configuration to do a nice enough sew-along. So if I do one, it'll probably be something very, very simple and straightforward. I'm thinking about one of the projects that I shared with you all in my early February video, where I'm sharing with you all 10 really easy gifts that you can give for Valentine's Day. And if you celebrate and honor African American History Month, you can also pick some gifts from that video series, or that video rather. So I'm thinking about that. I'm not 100% sold, but it's one of the things I have on my list here. The second thing I've been thinking about are making some pants. So I have only done, I think for myself, 2 pair of pants since I've been sewing. And 1 pair was something I did through my Sew It Academy course. And I think the other pair was just the ones I did for the Christmas holiday. And as I have been going through my wardrobe lately, I realize I have lots of tops, but not a lot of pants or pants and skirts. So I'm thinking that I want to start learning how to make some pants this year and also coming up soon. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking about that. And although we are in February going into March and then there's April, I'm really wondering whether or not I want to continue with winter wear and if I want to really get into making some things for the spring. Because I sew slow, I find that when the season is upon me, I don't have a lot of time to make more than 1 or 2 items during that season. Or maybe I do, I'm just not, I don't know. I feel like I want to do some more for the winter, but I am feeling like maybe if I start one more thing for the winter, before I know it, it'll be time to really be thinking about spring. And I want to be able to have some items ready to go when the spring season starts. So I'm trying to decide if I want to pivot right now and think spring, or try to get something in, 1 more piece in for the winter. So that's kind of where I am right now. And I did purchase a Vogue pattern recently. I'm going to share it with you right now. So this Vogue pattern has been on my radar for a while. And I really do love, I like So Lovely with Grace, and I also love Socially Awkward. I love many of the folks that are out here doing the sewing and influencing me as I get through my sewing. But recently I came across a video by So Lovely with Grace, and I found one also with Socially Awkward, and they both sewed this Vogue pattern here, and they both said it was a really easy sew as long as I picked the right fabric. So this would be my first Vogue pattern ever. So I'm thinking about maybe also working on this in the very near future as my next big project, but I'm not sure. It's a again, it's Vogue 1929, and it's described as a Mrs. Knit top, dress and pants. And if I look at the garment or the fabric, it recommends moderate stretch knits, jersey, rib knit, ponte knit. So this might be something I can do to transition into spring. Like if I do it now as a winter garment, I might be able to transition it into spring if I choose the proper type of fabric for it. So I'm not sure, but I feel like this will probably take me probably another 3 weeks or so to get through, if not longer. I don't know, but I'm thinking about this Vogue pattern as one of my next makes, and I love them both. I love the top and the pants, and I absolutely love this dress. So I don't know, the verdict is definitely out on where to go next. So so that's that. And then I've got some basic sewing room things I need to get done, or I would like to get done. First thing is Zola. As you all know, that's my brother machine, the one I use all the time for everything. February is her annual checkup, so she needs to go to the shop and have her checked out. I have not been having issues with her, but I do want to make sure that I stay on top of her routine cleaning and all that great stuff so that she continues to function properly. And while I'm thinking about putting her in the shop, or, you know, taking her to her appointment, I'm thinking about also unboxing my other sewing machine that my husband got for me, like my birthday last year. And it has been sitting in my room for a couple months now, and I'm thinking that maybe this might be a good time to transition out the machines while Zola is getting her checkup. I can unbox my new machine, so I'm thinking about that. And I also have a huge bag of patterns on my floor in the corner that I need to be trying to store away. If you guys remember when New Look had that 99-cent sale at Hobby Lobby back in the early fall, I think it was, I got a lot of patterns, and they are still sitting in the bag untouched. So I need to be thinking about getting that stuff stored away. And then I need to do another de-stash on my scrap fabric. So I've got a lot to think through, a lot to think about in February, and where to go next. So I don't know, guys. I'm kind of in that indecisiveness right now. I'm kind of not really sure if I want to do some sewing, do some storage. I feel like after I come off of a long project, I need time to like really like a palette cleanser, kind of like just sit and think and just, you know, refresh my mind. So I'm not really sure if I want to go right into a project. So we'll see what happens in the days ahead. And just one more thing, guys. So I told you all that I am working. I want to think a lot more about fit this year with my patterns. And last night I took some time, went through my library of sewing books, and I remember that I had this fast fit book. So I am going to be taking some time and keeping this book handy as I am working through my different patterns as I move ahead in my plans. This book has come highly recommended by so many, and I'm so glad that I already had it in my stash, and I am going to be using it a lot. And oh, look at this. I had an issue with my pants that I made during winter where the back was low but the front was pretty high. So I think this might be part of what I need to think about in terms of that fit problem. So yeah, I have this book here that I'll be using. And although it's not really about fit, it's more about mending and making your garments look fabulous, I have this book also that I purchased some time ago that I forgot I even had in my library. But this is a book that really shows you how to mend very common mishaps with garments and sewing. But then not just that, they also go into giving you ideas on how to make your garments more fabulous, like different ways to be creative and make sure that, you know, your garments are standing out and you do something a little different outside of the norm. There's a part in here that shows you how to attach studs on your garments. So every mend also comes with another way to make the outfit fabulous based off whatever the issue was with your garment. So if there's a mend, let's say there's a hole in a shirt, I'm just, as an example, it'll tell you how to fix it, but just not that, what to do to camouflage that hole. So I am happy to have this. So I'll be referencing both of these books in the next couple weeks, months or so as I get through my sewing plans. I want to thank you all for sticking around. This video was a little bit longer than what I wanted it to be, but I tend to just like ramble and just like give you guys all my thoughts as I'm thinking about sewing and my plans. So thank you for sticking around. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I do hope that you would consider liking this video and subscribing. That way you are able to capture all of my content as I continue to keep you all engaged in my sewing journey. And if this is not your first time, I want to thank you for your support. My channel would not be what it is if it were not for your constant watches, your constant comments, and your feedback and your engagement. So again, I want to thank you all for watching. And until we come together again, take care and God bless.